So right now, let's go ahead and welcome our speakers on the stage, our panelists on the stage. And once again joining us, we have the moderator of the session, Mr. Rajiv Raghunath, Managing Editor, Outdoor Asia and Media for Growth. He walks on right now to your applause, ladies and gentlemen. And they're going to be covering the topic of how an evolving OAH can be pivotal to brand marketing. So our first panelist walking on, among the top talents in India, Alco-Bev segment, she has over 18 years of experience working at some of the finest and diverse corporate firms like Uber, Bacardi, and Cavencare. Please welcome on the stage the Marketing Director at Beam Suntory India, Ruchika Gupta. And we can't wait to see that selfie online, ma'am. All right, joining her right now, our next panelist has over 2 decades of experience in multiple industries such as durables, FMCG, financial services. He's keen on customer experience and brand-led organizational impact creation. Ladies and gentlemen, Head Marketing, Bandhan Bank. Please welcome with a loud round of applause. He walks on, Apurva Sirkar. Welcome, sir. Joining our panelists, up next, having worked at MetLife for 15 plus years, he was involved in multiple projects, including the joint venture partnership between PNB and MetLife. He has previously worked at some big brands such as Hindustan Unilever, Samsung, Times of India. Presenting our next panelist, welcome General Manager Marketing, PNB MetLife India Insurance, Amit Sinha. We're enjoying the applause and our panelists are absolutely loving it. So make it loud for our next panelist, who is well known for creating popular IPs like HSBC Starstruck, Go Green Cyclothon, HSBC Golf League, among others. He currently heads the marketing strategy for HSBC in India. Please welcome Head Marketing Strategy at HSBC India. With a loud round of applause, Arka Prava Ray joins us on stage, completing our panel right now. Welcome, sir. All right, we are excited. You see the panelists? They've got their smiles on. They've actually been chatting right through the tea break. So we know this is going to be profound. It's going to be exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, handing over to our moderator, sir.
Thank you, Kisha. Such a pleasure to be back on stage and with an extremely accomplished group of OH brand leaders here. And we had an amazing day today, starting with actor Manoj Bajpayee, who said that on the day that he arrived in Delhi and he looked out of the window of the train that he was traveling and he looked at a billboard and he said that it was his aspiration to one day feature on the billboard, and how well his dream came true, because today you go to any city and you see him everywhere, and his inspirational account was a great learning for many of us. Through the day we had some amazing sessions by Amanda, by Vikram, by Matt, by Liam, by Shashank, and by Dwarika, connecting all the different themes that OH industry would really need to focus upon, from programmatic OH to creativity to connecting the dots and looking at a global ecosystem, and also from the brand perspective. Now, for all of the takeaways that the industry has and has to work upon and act upon, there's one particular stakeholder group that has to really participate in making this happen. I'm very fortunate to have that representation right here on this panel for brand marketers and their perspectives on the industry and how they would like to see things happen, I believe would be extremely important for this industry as a whole. So I have with me a set of questions that I will take a deep dive, and then we're going to have about a 40-minute session in which we will try to touch upon as many of those aspects that are to be covered in the session. And then, of course, you will have your favorite Q&A session where you will, of course, be putting in your questions on the app. So straight away, getting into this session and on the theme of evolving OH, one of the things that we often talk about when we look at OH is that it's an impact media. And that impact media, the sense of that impact media comes from looking at these billboards, because billboards really, they kind of influence people's thinking and they aspire to be there. But the journey from outdoor advertising to out-of-home advertising had happened over a period of time, which actually meant that multiple different formats actually came into the picture. And today, if you look at all the participants in this very hall, not everyone is only operating a large format. There are formats that are as diverse as small to transit media to moving media, you name it. And I don't think there's any media channel that has got as many formats as out-of-home industry. So you all are here, and I really want to have your perspectives on when you are looking at this medium, how much are you really looking at it in its entirety when there are so many formats to choose from multiple locations? In your outlook on OOH, do you really consider all of those? Or if I may also ask, are you really aware of what each of these formats can deliver? So to get a quick response to this, I would like to quickly turn to Amit and have his perspectives. Amit.
Thanks, Rajiv. Thank you for having us. It's very lucrative to say that traditional media has been there since ages, and you can't really get rid of that so easily. DOOH as a format is picking up, but I think it's at a very nascent stage at the moment. And we as marketers, when we decide upon certain brand campaigns or any activity which we decide on outdoor medium, a couple of things which comes to our mind. First is the business objective or the marketing objective which we have. So in case if the objective is interaction, engagement, leads, DOH comes into the picture. But if the format is huge and we want to showcase our brand in a big way, large billboards come into picture. Secondly, budget. Large billboards, as we say, large. The very word large is that actually you need large, big pockets to address those billboards as well. So, every brand would not have those big pockets to, engage with those big boards as well. So, it's a function of budgets, I think. And the advantage with, both these formats is, you need to know the target group which you're targeting. So, in case if you want to target, as you said, the transit media consumers or somebody in the malls or at cinema theaters, etc., you would certainly go for transit media. So, I would say it has to be a mix of both at the moment. But unfortunately, DOH is present in metros or certain key cities in India. When you have to look at tier 2, tier 3 cities, it's way to go. So that's my submission.
Thank you, Amit. I'll actually pose the same question to Ruchika and ask and seek your observations on this. Is that the fact is that statistically, if I'm not terribly wrong, is that almost 50% of Indian OH revenues have started to come from transit media. This at least was the case pre-COVID. Probably we are pretty much around that level right now. However, when you are looking at the medium, how much are you influenced by that variety of options that are there really for you? That said, there are brands that are already spending on this one, on the multiple formats, and it's not just DOH. We're talking about mall media, we are talking about media at corporate parks. There is advertising happening in the elevators. There's a gentleman here who is actually part of a project like that. And there are so many diverse formats. So, Ruchika, if you can help us understand that when you're looking at this medium, how much are you really influenced by the fact that there's such a diverse medium out there and so many formats to choose from? Are you really cognizant of that, or are you acting on those aspects?
Okay, so I think first of all, thank you for inviting us. What an excellent event, very well managed, what a great venue, and great to meet you all. Talking about medium, I'm not sure how many are there. You don't know what you don't know, so I'm sure there are many. I know a few, but even with that few, I feel out of home has a very, very unique leverage. Even by itself, there are very few medium that are celebrated. For example, if we take a few campaigns, and if I have the liberty to talk about a brand brand. The Zomato campaign this year. How many times do you celebrate the medium when there is an excellent message? I think out of home allows for that. There could be a whole range of medium, and that has always been the case. If you look at our phones, on an average, there are 50 apps. If you look at channels, there are 1,000+ apps. There's always that fragmentation. It's not going to come down. It's possibly only going to increase. That makes the job of a marketer as exciting and challenging and equally confusing. Not always is it measurable as well. Attribution's broken, one of the biggest flaws for marketing sciences, in the current times that I think all of us are trying to fix in some way. But that said, is there a place where a marketer can go and find out all of these options? I don't think so, and maybe there is an opportunity for that aggregation. I also had the opportunity to be on the jury of the awards, and I figured the kind of work the brands are doing, I hadn't really seen it, because something's happening in Bangalore, something's happening in Pune, something's happening in Bombay, and it's really working for the brands, but because of so much fragmentation, it's possibly not reaching other marketers, and they can do the same and work with you guys on such projects. So there's an aggregation of best practices that also possibly is an opportunity to educate us marketers. If we've ever made you feel that we know it all, I'm sorry we don't. If you ever made you feel that we are absolutely updated about all the lovely campaigns that our peers are doing in the industry, that's not the case either. So I think we're willing to be educated if you're willing to educate us. In fact, I've learned a lot from our out-of-home partners and want to continue doing that.
Marvelous, Ruchika. I think that's really that's an action point for the industry. I'd like to put this question a little differently, in the sense my question was that, are you aware? Let me put it a little differently, Apurva, and say that, for your awareness to, for a greater awareness of what is available in the market, do you see enough initiatives being taken from the industry side to make you aware of the beautiful options that are really there, or really you have to go searching for them?
Thanks, Rajiv. First of all, thank you. Thank you all for having us here in this panel. See, this medium is something that, to also touch upon the previous question slightly, it also depends on what is it that is happening beyond out of home for the brand as well. So it has to sink in with the rest of the media that is actually playing out for the brand. And therefore, the choice of what do you ride on is not just left to that medium alone, right? Having said that, yes, there are cases in which our partners, and obviously outdoor is a medium where you can't really go out without a partner. Partners have approached us and have given us case studies of what has worked for others, etc., and what is new in the field. And in fact, a few of them are enterprising enough to even spam. But yes, there is enough information flowing in from various partners. However, also building on what Ruchika just mentioned, I think there is need for us to have a platform where we don't have to rely on people to get to us. Mm-hmm. And we can find whatever new, interesting, and effective that is happening in the world of out of home, where all of us as brands, all of us as marketers could actually draw from. Because it's not just what we do, it is also what we learn from the others that helps us keep optimizing, keep improving ourselves, both from the point of view of how effectively we are using the medium in terms of spread, but also in terms of the kind of usage that we do in out of home.
Absolutely brilliant to talk about a platform that the brand marketers would like to have so that they are able to engage with the OH industry in more meaningful ways. Akaprabha, I'd really like to have your thoughts on that. This is a very unique idea that has come through. Would you like to share your observations on that or comments?
Absolutely. See, today, let's go back a little in terms of who are the people who actually look at outdoor and actually consciously look at outdoor. Marketers, agency, and outdoor people who are involved with outdoor as a channel, right? Now to get their attention, which is very, very, to get somebody's attention subconsciously to look at an outdoor, you have to be from a creative point of view, you have to be really good, right? You get 6-7 seconds to look at a hoarding or a outdoor medium. So how do you make yourself relevant, different? That's, I think, where the main crux of a marketer comes in. So you have to evolve, you have to come up with new things. Yeah, it might be tacky sometimes, it might be a little, some people might not like it, but it's okay. You have to come up with new solutions, right? So today, if you see, you spend so much on digital mediums, on making an AV for the TV. You have production cost, you have, different costs associated to it. The most, the medium that is totally ignored when it comes to every element is outdoor. You leave it to the guy who would just look at it and adapt it from a print medium and just go live with a creative, right? It doesn't happen like that. You have to be very concise when it comes to outdoor. You have to be absolutely putting your message across in a very short or in a very creative way, right? That's, I feel, is the kind of way we have to evolve ourselves and come up with new solutions, I think, at this point of time.
Absolutely important, Agraprabha. I think you already, I can see that there are a few action points that are there, is that one, the brand marketers themselves are thinking that they should learn more about the industry. Second, the industry really needs to engage with the brand marketers and actually show the big picture. And that's when the magic happens. And I think the size of the industry will grow quite phenomenally in India. Well, you have already touched upon the aspect of creativity in this industry. And I think I would want to have the observations of the other panel members here on that particular point. Is that, we all have this aspiration of out of home being much more creative, much more engaging, and where there is application of technology and all of that happens. And I think through the day, I think we have had some brilliant presentations which also showcased how this creativity really, pans out in the different global markets. But now, coming back to our Indian market, and more particularly with regard to your own brand campaigns, Amit, I will ask you this question, is that, when you know that there should be a higher creativity quotient, a creative quotient to the campaign that needs to be done, what should really be the action point from the brand marketer's perspective on how that creativity will happen? Because you are the people who would actually set the standards for your own campaigns, and others are going to add value to that. So can that process begin with you?
Yeah, certainly, creativity is something from an outdoor perspective. We've listened to a lot of speakers earlier as well. The less it is, the more powerful it is. So, you as Orko, he just mentioned about it, that, you just get 4 to 5 seconds. So if you're speaking too much, you won't get the ROI out of it. So it's still as a supportive medium, and you have to gain the maximum out of it in the limited time which you have. So creativity comes in the usage of words, I would say.
Right.
The headline has to be sleek and very comprehensive.
Well, I think I'll also want your observation on how are you going to make it happen as a brand marketer, because it's your campaign after all, which is going to be seen on all of the formats, and you would really want that creativity to really come through in a particular campaign. So how will you make sure that this will happen? I'd like to have all your observations, but just to get your further comments on that, because you're working with media agencies, and you're working with creative agencies, and then there are the specialist agencies. So all are operating in different silos in many sense. They are not all coming together on a grand plan to make sure that the campaign is just out of the world, right? So in a sense, there is, more often than not, what comes out could well be a little below your own expectation. But can this be bridged in any way with a brand marketing initiative? Yeah,
you see, the key to creating an outdoor is that you get a specialized agency to work on the creatives. If you use a mainline agency who's got minimal experience on outdoor advertising, he would use your print ad, or he would use a single pager or a brochure of that to represent it on outdoor. So you have to use a specialized agency who could use the content and use that content in a big way, so that it's actually adaptable to an outdoor medium. So I think a specialized agency who understands what the medium is, how to use it aptly, would be the key from our end.
All right, Amit, I'll come to Apurva and have your particular views on how you would, in an ideal world, how would you like all these things to actually work?
Sure. So Raju, let me take 2 steps back. Amit pointed out something which is staring us in our eyes, and there is not enough work happening on traditional media other than TV in trying to make the best possible communication out for the medium itself. Okay, because somewhere I have this feeling that it's not interesting enough, right? So when you make a film, it excites you, but when you have to make something for an outdoor creative, it doesn't excite you because there are so many limitations around it, okay? So I think what is happening is that the hard work behind effectiveness of the medium is something which is missing both from the creative agency's point of view and from the brand marketer's point of view. So most of the times what happens is that, fortunately or unfortunately, the three gentlemen here on the panel are all from financial services. And when Amit has to put up an outdoor, there has to be 1/10 of regulatory compliance text that has to come, right? Yes. So he basically has 90% of the medium to use, all right? So we are better off, Orko and I, because RBI does not have so many guidelines around that yet. Having said that, whenever it is about, and I've seen this throughout my life in financial services, where you reach out to a creative agency and tell them, look, we have to make an outdoor also of this campaign. They say, you have a poster, right? We'll adapt that. That's not how it works. It cannot work like that. And even in out of home, what is important is to understand the medium that you have. It is extremely important for your creative to be effective for that medium. For example, correct. It's a drive past medium like a huge billboard. What is it that I should say about the same campaign? And when I am sitting in a let's say a metro, and I'm going to spend at least 10 minutes looking at the same thing which is right there in front of my eyes, it could be different, it must be different.
Right.
Right? I don't think there is enough study happening around that. There is not enough involvement of various people need to come together to drive it. So on most occasions what happens is it's just cut, paste, copy of something else that is floating around somewhere else. The good thing is that given the innovation that we just saw with DOOH coming into play, a lot of my partners are coming up, OH partners, are coming up various ideas basis the base creative that we have. That again becomes limiting because the base creative itself is not very effective.
Right.
Okay. So somewhere there has to be a sort of a collaboration across various parties, and the onus is with the brand custodians.
That's right.
Right. It is with the brand custodians to drive it, and I've made fair number of enemies in creative agencies because there is text which is not aligned, an image is floating somewhere, there is dead space. So outdoor mein chalta hai, it's okay, it works on outdoor, but that's not how things can work, right? So the onus is with the brand custodians to drive this. Everyone has to come together to figure out what is most appropriate and most effective.
Absolutely
Rajiv, I'll just add a little to what Apurva mentioned. So I'll give an example, right? If you look at Apple and in outdoor, what Apple does, I was speaking with Apurva just before the panel here, and what they do is they have totally taken up the production as well. The flex they use, the bordering that they do, it's totally different. It stands out, right? If they're taking a particular inventory or outdoor inventory or hoarding, they'll see to it that the production is totally different, the quality is totally different, it stands out in the clutter, right? So even if you are driving, you cannot miss it. So when I said that, when you're making a film, AV, and even he alluded to that, you're putting everything into the shoot, you're going to the shoot, you're looking at every aspect. In fact, as a marketer, you are directing rather than the director, right? So outdoor, when it comes to outdoor, it will happen. It doesn't happen like that. Trust me, it doesn't happen like that. You have to make those tweaks, those nuances are really important. Spend on production, spend on the production, spend on, the hoardings that you're taking in, and you'll see the difference. I think that's majorly what I wanted to speak about.
One more point, yes. When we create a brief for a campaign, outdoor comes at the last. Unfortunately, that's happening.
Well, I think we should not just leave that point there. Can you, at least tell us why it comes last?
Yeah, see, the thing which excites every marketer is the brand film. TVC comes first. Yeah, that's the most exciting thing.
Oh, can I just put it this way that, is it about the brand marketer getting excited about the TVC, or is it that creative agency that has made it seem exciting?
No, let's not put it that way. I think it's more that, a TVC creates an impact and it's got the maximum reach as well. So you can get your message loud and clear to the consumers through the TVC. But what the point which I was trying to make is, there's a digital creative as well. There is communication in other formats, emailers to customers, etc. But unfortunately, outdoor is just an adapt which is happening currently. So even if you ask an outdoor agency or the media owners to create something, they will ask, sir, aapka main creative kya hai? So it has to be something different, so that it has to evolve from there, and that can come only once, I think from a marketer's perspective, I think involvement of the outdoor agencies is also important at the initiation stage as well. So it's a fault from our end also, I would say. So if we involve them at the nascent stage, I think outputs can be better, inputs can be much improved.
Fantastic.
Just
Yes.
one more point
Sure,
here.
sure.
I'm sorry all the men on the stage are taking all the talk time, and Ruchika will come back to you. I'm sure Rajiv will give you enough time to speak. So I'm happy that Amit mentioned there is a brief and outdoor features on that.
Right.
Because more often than not, there is no brief. The only brief for outdoor is put an image, use this headline, put 3 subpoints, and put a call to action. That's not a brief, right?
Not at all.
And I'm sure I have many partners of my various campaigns here, and you'd ask them, this is the brief that goes to them. You cannot create something which is effective by a brief like this. You're giving them a design which is ineffective.
Great. Ruchika, sticking to the subject of creativity, and for the fact that our fellow panelists have said that the brand custodians could take a greater ownership for the creative, enhancing the creativity. On the other side, what we are also beginning to see is that with digital out of home coming into its own, with the possibilities being many, content is no longer an option. It ought to be there. It's got to be the differentiator. Somewhere along, do you think there is ample scope for some very specialized OOH, DOOH-focused creative agencies to come up? Or if they are there, would you want to engage with them much more than you ever did?
I think from a client side, we split our budget, maybe it's a little bit of a technical point, but would be useful for us, into working and non-working. Non-working is what we pay to agencies, working is what we spend on media. And we are already very, very inefficient with our non-working. If there's one more type of agency, earlier there was just creative, now there's creative and digital, now there's creative media and digital. So the list is increasing, we are doing everything to reduce it. So I think this adds to our list of non-working not-to-dos. And that said, I think the problem that we're trying to solve is the key visual was never designed for the out-of-home. There is a key visual that the team designs for every campaign. Out-of-home is not considered. One, because creative folks don't find it glamorous enough. It's the truth. Out-of-home is not seen as very glamorous by the creative agencies. And that's why the stepchild treatment, to the medium and its content. However, if the client pushes for it, to your point, Rajiv, if the client pushes for it, the same agency can absolutely design, for this medium as well. If you see some of the entries, I really hope everybody gets the opportunity to see. You would say, who thought of this? And it's the same agency who thought of the brand film, to Amit's earlier point. So it's not that the creative talent isn't there. They don't find it important enough. Mm-hmm. From a client side, another thing, it's the most time-consuming strategy that you have to design for an out-of-home. For example, with City, it's very, very fragmented. We were just talking about 2,500 media owners in out-of-home. Right? That's the number, 2,500 media owners. And then more number of agencies. That's not the case with TV channels and radio. So because of that, for a client, it's very, very hard to have a single agency on board, to have that trusted partner that you can work with at all time. And that affinity for the medium then does not really develop. Add to it is the complication of India being a very, very large country. You can choose your market, which is sort of a marketer's superpower. But it's also difficult because you have to look at it every city. You have to look at it as every road. It's one of the channels also that offers surprises. The out-of-home looks very good in picture, but when you actually go there, it doesn't have that much of footfalls because now there's a tree that you saw last time I took a picture. It was, just 1 feet tall. Now the tree's grown, and now it's, covering the whole out-of-home. So those kind of surprises, and you're spending $1 lakh a month, and some part of your budget towards that. So I think the medium really gets impacted by external circumstances. It's very, very fragmented, and that is why the level of control is limited. It doesn't excite the agencies. TV is obviously more exciting, radio is more exciting. And that's why I think this problem needs to be solved with a little bit of more creativity. That said, I'm a huge fan of billboard. Some of our campaigns are billboard only. In fact, out of 2 or 3 campaigns that we do in a year, 1 or 2 of them, that is about, almost half our budget, is going only towards out of home. And there are a lot of marketers who are looking at the value that the medium offers.
Thank you, Ruchika. And actually, with this DOOH as it grows, and with elements like 3D anamorphic coming into the picture, and with full motion digital, actually great content has to be created. Otherwise, you can't use those mediums the way you would like to, right? So maybe these are early days still for that. But glad to have all your perspectives on this aspect. Now, I'll slightly jump from the subject of creativity and talk about the engagement with media, or the way that you actually look at buying media. Now, typically, if you look at all the main media channels, as brands, you would actually engage them on a very exclusive basis through AOR route. But when it comes to OOH, somehow that is not seen to happen in many significant ways. There are exceptions though, but the general rule is that a lot of the brands prefer to work with multiple agencies across the country. So let us have your thoughts on, is that a more efficient way to do it, or are there any constraints by which you have had to take this path of working with multiple agencies across different markets across the country? So, Amit, if you can share your thoughts on this.
So, I have never been restricted with AOR kind of a format. I love working with the new age companies, and fortunately what they bring into the table is a lot of fresh energy, fresh thoughts, and which is required in this medium currently, I feel. So, gone are the days when, you could just put a poster adaptation or a print ad adaptation into an outdoor. Innovation is the key, and this is what I feel that, the new age agencies generally bring in. The AOR format currently, I feel, is a bit outdated. You should give opportunities to the startup India, and it will just bring in more vibrancy into this entire industry.
All right. Arko, your thoughts on this?
It's a good question. Now that there is always, for every question, a pro and a con. I'm not going to approach it in that way. I'm going to address it, right? So I have always believed in meeting new agencies, media owners, everybody under the sun, right? To the best of my ability, right? So when I meet people, I learn new things, because obviously in our lifetime, obviously in the kind of work that we are in, we don't get enough time to read. Or maybe we don't have the energy at the end of the day to actually go through or read and learn, unlearn, etc. So the best way to actually do that also is to meet newer people, which gives you a lot of insights of what is happening, right? And Ruchika did mention that the entries that we saw during the submissions that we saw, it was great. There's some of the entries were so unique and different, and I did also learn a lot of things. So I believe that you should always meet these newer agencies that are coming up, media owners, in fact, also, everybody, and I tell my team that do meet up with everybody. What it does is 2 things. One is you'll get to know how different the landscape is, because today if you're working with one big media agency, what is happening is they are empaneled with one particular outdoor agency specifically. So it's more or less, if you're selling a shoe, or if you're selling a car, or if you're selling an insurance product, or if you're selling a mutual fund, it's the same plan that you're getting at the end of the day. So how do you make it different, right? So you need to meet people, you need to meet everybody, like I said, who are associated to the industry, to learn new things and to understand, and then you'll find new pockets, and you can challenge the agency in terms of why not this and why not that, rather than just because you need to meet the deadline. Okay, there's a plan coming in and we are blindly following that plan. I think that is one. The second piece is things like, it's a little, scattered when it comes to the outdoor business in India. The only planned piece is airport, if you see, at this point of time. And it's majorly owned by 2 or 3 big players. what is happening is when you talk to your agency, they generally try to, the main media agencies I'm talking about, desale the airport property because it's so organized, they don't have much play in that. So it's very important you directly meet them as well, right? So where you'll get to know that it's actually available, you can do a lot there as well, based on your product, obviously, who are the target audience and whom do you want to sell your product to. So it's important that you meet.
Absolutely. Interesting. Ruchika?
No, I was just adding, I think from the outside, I worked on both sides, agency as well as client, and it really feels like clients have such amazing life. They don't have to work through iteration, et cetera, but being a client is scary. And you do wake up in the middle of the night thinking so many crores you bet on a medium, on a channel, or a campaign, will it really work? So it will happen that we will have our preferred partners who give us that trust, what we are doing is correct for all the right scientific reasons. And we do need that preferred partner approach. But from a democratization of opportunity standpoint, it's possibly not a great idea to have an agency, a single agency in in a space that's so fragmented. Like we already said, there's so much to learn about this medium. It's only fair that all clients meet all agencies and all agencies meet all clients, so innovation can breathe.
Well said, Ruchika. I'll just slightly broaden the scope of this particular question and ask you, Apurva, that apart from actually engaging with agencies, many of the brand marketers also engage directly with the media owners. So that makes it all the more complex. So from that perspective, what are your thoughts on actually brands engaging directly with the media owners and get your media versus working with agents, with an agency or multiple agencies?
Rajiv, I think it all depends on how big the brand is in terms of the spends that you have.
Okay.
Just to dial back to the previous question, I'm in agreement with what each of the panel members here have said. Yes, you get to learn a lot about what is happening in the industry when you meet up with other people than just working with one single agency. However, what is more important for me, at least, because we are not really prominent advertisers. We have limited budgets for the year, and OAC happens to be one of the primary media for us. What is important is that the cost of sites is opaque. Right? We don't have a visibility of that. It is not consolidated into one data that you can download from anywhere, right? And therefore, what it does is, it puts the agencies in a spot where negotiation becomes extremely important, all right? Now, just to give you an example that happened with me some time back, we were looking at visibility at airports, as Orko just mentioned, but this is the first time we are getting into airports. Before this, we've never done airport visibility. And for one such airport, where you've taken a site that I like, by the way, we'll speak about that later. There was variation among 4 agencies that we reached out to for the same sites.
Okay.
For the same period, for the same brief. From the first quoted by every agency to what we closed finally, there was a difference of about 15%. Right? Now, if we were to go with just one person, I would never realize that there was a savings about 15% money that can be used better in some other medium. Right? And therefore, for a medium like this, it is important for us to, for at least small marketers, small budget marketers like us, to actually speak to more than just one. Okay?
Right.
The second part about owners versus agencies, yes, it is very important for, again, it depends on if you are a buyer who has crores and triple digits of crores of budget for out of home, you could directly involve yourself with the owners and you could get a deal negotiated there itself. But for others who are smaller buyers, the scale at which the agency can negotiate, the brands cannot. And therefore that becomes more important for the agencies to do that.
All right. Thank you, Apurva. When we planned this session and the 40 minutes, it seemed like, there's a lot of time, but we are actually running out of time now very quickly. So I will come to the last question, after which, of course, we will have the Q&A. And this is on audience data and metrics, a subject which has been thrashed to bits over last 10 years and more. And earlier in the day, Vikram Sakhuja said that even at OAC, I think the subject off and on came up for discussion, but with very little movement. But there is movement happening right now. But however, from the brand marketer's perspective, considering the overall percentage of brand spends on OOH, which is rather limited versus the potential, Should there be a robust common currency for OOH? Do you really see your brand spends, or in turn, overall brand spends, really doubling for this medium? Amit.
Certainly, yes. I think, there are multiple medias which has common currency. TV has, print has. You get the readership, you get the viewership data, and that is through authenticated, certified agencies. This is something which is missing completely in outdoor. And we as brand managers or marketers, we don't have an answer to give it to our management as well. How is outdoor, beneficial to you? What is the eyeballs, etc. And when you don't have a data, it just, then it comes last in your brief as well.
Right.
So as I mentioned, so it's important to have a common currency. What it gives as an opportunity to us from the industry perspective is, it'll give a lot of transparency. Once you get transparency, if you have a common currency, it'll give us transparency in terms of rates as well, which he just touched upon. So if there is a particular site, if you get the eyeballs, you can have a deliberated rate to it. So it cannot be any rates which can be put up, and a common platform where the rates are there. I think we are moving towards it, but it's a need of the hour, I would say.
Perfect. Apurva, your thoughts?
Sure. So Rajiv, I think when the child is 2, you don't say what will he become when he's 18, right? I think single currency of measurement is when the child is 18. We are here when the child is 2. The measurement itself, for most of what I have done with outdoor through my life, is not scientific in nature. Okay. Mm-hmm. Why do I say that? Because before that, just let me give an example to you. It pains to have the word spends with marketing.
Okay.
For brands, for companies, it is marketing spends. It is not investments. Okay? And when there are tight times, the first thing that is cut, marketing cut do.
So true.
Right? So why is that? And why is it that digital suddenly has become so prominent? Because now, even the decision makers on how much money has to be put onto various mediums or to be given as marketing budgets are seeing numbers saying, so much I spent and this is the business I've got, right? So what is the linkage of what you're doing in marketing to what is resulting in business has become extremely important because it was always important, has become more important now because digital is allowing you to do that, okay? Now, that's where traditional media is losing out, and more so with outdoor, because when we onboard agencies, we see these dashboards, we'll say traffic, and depending on the height and the clutter, this is the score and that. Once we start working, there is nothing like that. Okay? So it could be the fault of the brand marketers as well, which is something that I am cognizant of. But at the end of the day, the size of the billboard, the location of the billboard, or I'm taking billboards as just an example, the traffic that passes through does not tell me how many people have seen it and remember and will take action after that. There are surrogates available in terms of brand track where you have source of awareness, but it is impossible for us as marketers to remember where I saw the brand. For our normal customers, it's absolutely impossible to dissociate media if you're doing a multimedia campaign, right? So the measurement itself is something which I think as an industry has to be invested in. Is there a way that we can get people to actually participate and send in their photographs of when they were passing by, and this is therefore through blockchain, if we can introduce some method of crowdsourced measurement of what is happening on outdoor or OOH for that matter, or some surrogate, I don't know. And that is something I think is the need of the hour. Common currency, absolutely in line with what Amit just mentioned, but I think that is phase 2. Phase 1 is what are those measures that can really tell us how the media is performing for us.
Absolutely. Well said, Apurva. Actually, today technology allows you to do that. I think there are already video analytics available. There is mobile data that is being used. To a great extent, you can actually triangulate all these things and actually determine the particular audience that you are targeting. Ruchika, your quick
sorry,
thoughts?
before that,
Yeah.
Coming back, Rajiv. Yes, how many people are there who has seen?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think
Not across,
technology,
not across.
I think let's believe in technology and what it can deliver. I think great possibilities ahead. Absolutely. I think we are well on the path. Those demands have to be set by the brand marketers, that these are the things that I'd really like to see, and I'm going to spend much more on this media and get the best outcomes. Ruchika and Arko, I'd really like to have your responses, but very quickly because we're out of time.
Yes, so not to repeat what Apurva said, there has to be a place for marketing intuition also, while I absolutely agree there has to be a fair amount of measurability. And what you're measuring is also important. If you're measuring impressions, what was the opportunity to see? Versus how did it move the preference? How did it move awareness, consideration, the ACP model, whatever you were trying to move as a marketer? I think both of those are important. So, and once you arrive at that, a little bit of attribution, which medium worked, and that's where I find a place for marketing intuition. I don't think all questions can always be answered. Marketing is one of the youngest sciences. It's a subjective science. So I think those are the things that I endorse a little bit. And that said, I think a common currency, absolutely. I've also saved those 15% and done a full campaign on radio. So I think that's happened to all of us.
Arko.
Yep. Just because of the paucity of time, I'll not delve into most of the stuff that they already mentioned. It's just that today we marketers actually find our own ways to attribute things, which is again not scientifically. You might have your own opinion, but scientifically might not be the right attribution model. But we need to figure out as an industry in terms of how we need to actually deliver through an outdoor campaign and what are the matrices that we want to measure. So it's important that there are proper scientific measures that come into play which delivers a proper funnel.
Thank you so much, Arko. I think it's been quite an...
Just
yes,
one point here. I think the industry needs to have the 3 Ds, which is data, digitization, and disruption. I think these 3 Ds, if we take back from this convention and we all these things which we are talking about will get covered in these 3 Ds. So let's aim towards working towards these 3 Ds. I think we'll reach our goals very soon.
Very, very well said, Amit. I think there's a great takeaway. I think there have been so many takeaways, and let there all be action points for the industry as much as they are for the brand marketers as well. I think this cannot be just a one-off kind of a dialogue or a discussion or an interaction. There has to be a continuous process. And I think it requires all the stakeholder groups to really engage with each other so that we get the best outcomes out of this beautiful medium. I had an amazing time actually talking to my fellow panelists. Thank you so much for your time here. But this session does not end right here. There's a little bit more left, and over to Keisha.
Thank you so much, Rajiv. So we've got question time happening right now, but all the audience questions have been uploaded. You've been doing that onto the OAC app, and we're now going to invite onto stage Director Alak Advertising and Publicity, Neeta Gulati, to kindly join us. She's got the questions. Please join us. A loud round of applause, please. It's always nice to walk on to applause. 3 questions from the many that have come across for all our panelists. Ma'am, all yours.
First, I want to say that it's a beautiful show that OAC has organized, and we need to give them a big round of applause. So most of the questions are all related to why OOH is given a step motherly treatment. So the first question is by Nitin. He says OOH has shown its potential many times when used properly, still not considered as important in hierarchy of other mediums. How can we change that?
All right. So who would like to respond to this, Amit?
I think we've discussed this. The thing which is missing is the common currency. Once you come out with a common currency and you have a dashboard where the transparency is there for the medium, I think you will be on the top chart.
Okay.
Is this Nitin Rastogi who's asked the question?
Yeah, let's go.
Well,
The second question is, Hutch and Vodafone, until went to 7 or 8 large cities, they spent 80%. If their marketing budget in OOH, which means that they build their brand through OOH, then what's the reason marketers don't push the creative agencies to emphasize on OOH creative?
okay. Ruchika?
No, go ahead, Apurva.
Okay, so I wish I had budgets like Vodafone and V and whoever else is there. one has to be cognizant of the category in which you're working. In certain categories, a medium delivers better. Also, because if you see, from my best understanding, telecom is a circle-driven business. So in certain circles where you want to really hype up, you would want to go local, and outdoor is, OOH is the best medium to go local. Yeah, you can't beat OOH when it comes to local. And at the same time, it's not just Vodafone. There are other brands also which have been built through OOH. And it all depends on what is this expanse of the market that you want to target, what is the key message that you want to drive, and where is your audience. Now, if these three are put together, then you would know if OOH could be your lead medium, or it needs to be a support medium, or it could also be that for certain campaigns it is support, and for the other campaigns it is lead. It is not as a brand whether it is a lead medium or not. I think it has to depend on campaign by campaign, what is the objective with which you are using the various media.
Thank you.
And the third question is by Sonika Yadav. Why is it always 90% of the cost discussion and 10% of strategy with any agency?
90% of cost.
Yeah.
Why is discussion 90% on cost and 10% on strategy?
No, that is absolutely untrue. As a client, I feel very targeted. So, yeah, maybe we are doing that, but I guess that's the most important topic. Get it out of the way, get a common currency, tell us, this is listed, look at it later, why don't you spend time discussing strategy with me? But because of that 15% that we do get in all the negotiations with which we can run that radio campaign, it's that precious 15% why we are possibly spending that time. That said, I disagree, but I'll take the question.
Yeah, I think you touched upon that. Again, coming back, why do we need a negotiation? I think that question should be put to the industry. Negotiation is there because there's no fixed rate. So, once you have that dashboard, nobody will negotiate. Do we negotiate with Times of India? No. Do we negotiate with Star TV? No, because there's a rack rate. Have a rack rate, have a dashboard. Nobody will negotiate with you. We'll have 100% strategy.
Fantastic.
But I would like to just say that because we are saying we should go ahead, we should go DOOH. So if we want to spend monies, then why are we negotiating with the media owners?
Right.
I think this is getting a little warm.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
I'm keeping myself out of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Out of home
I think
or out of...
I think given the sheer population of agencies and media owners versus brand marketers, let's end it here. We'll take it offline. Whoever is given the question, we can discuss over a cup of coffee. Thank you so much.
Please. So thank you so much. I think we have to select the best of the three questions that have been posed.
Give the veto power to Ruchika.
All right. Ruchika, it's all yours.
Okay, I think the last question wins the award.
So Sonika Yadav, cash your drive.
And the winner is?
Sonika Yadav, cash your drive.
Can we please have Sonika? She's right there. She's walking on. Congratulations.
Let us now negotiate on the prize as well, right?
Well, yeah,
We're going to
this is
request
be given away.
Neeta Gulati to kindly join this photograph as well.
Please.
Also, that was a strategy to know who asked this question.
Welcome,
so
Sonika.
Now we all know.
We will.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
The panel discussion, the winning question, and Sonika walks away with the prize. Please come in. It's a group photograph. Much louder. Come on, we've got many more people on the stage. This is, for today, the final best question prize that's being given out. And we've got mementos coming across to all our speakers. We're going to request Ms. Gulati to kindly do us the honors. So once again, Ruchika Gupta, thank you very much for your presence on stage right here today. Loud round of applause for each one of our panelists. We'd like to thank Apurva Sirkar. A big round of applause for Amit Sinha. And for Arkaprava Ray. We want you to put your hands together for our moderator. A group photograph would be just right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving forward to something that's very exciting after this fantastic group photograph. We've got all our panelists and moderators
Thank you
smiling.
so
That's
much.
nice.
Such a
We're
pleasure
moving
to have you
forward.
here. Lovely outfit.
Well, right here this evening, we are saying thank you to our panelists, our moderator. We're clearing the stage. We're saying a big thank you to Sapphire Media Limited presents OAC, powered by Armor Digital OOH. And it's time now